Hi, this is Scott Reynolds with Rise, and I've had a lot of Business Catalyst partners contact me after my last video on transferring Business Catalyst web forms over to PlatformOS. So in this video, I'll show you additional work I've done since and answer a few of the questions I've received along the way. Now, to quickly recap from my last video, I'm using Foundation Form Layout app. You can find that in the BC App Store. And I'm using it as a web form migration tool from Business Catalyst to PlatformOS. So originally this app was designed to allow you to lay out or design a web form that was created in Business Catalyst. And now there's an export feature that allows you to create the necessary files for a fully functioning form, including validation and redirects. So this is how it's going to work. We're going to create a web form in Business Catalyst, and then we're going to lay it out using the app. We're going to export it, meaning that it's just going to create a bunch of files that will work in PlatformOS. I will download them using FTP, and then we're going to upload them into PlatformOS, and then I'll show you how that works. All right, so let's create a web form, and we're just going to call it something really easy like contact me. And we'll remove the anti-bot fraud protection module. Now, in the last video, people asked me, oh, can I only use text fields, like an input that's a type text? And the reason why is because in my last video, I only showed that type of field being added. But you can totally use other ones too. In fact, we'll do that now. Let's add a drop down. My drop down, make it required, and we'll make it really easy. We'll just use that for the other ones too. So save, we'll do a radio. My radio, my checkboxes, and let's do a multi-line. Okay, so that should be good for now. Let's go over to the layout. Let's create a new layout. We'll also call this Contact Me. And let's select it right there. And we have a whole bunch of options that we can have. We'll just only add a couple. One that I want to show you is the redirect. So we can redirect to like a confirmation page or pretty much anywhere. In fact, let's just do that. So we'll go to google.com just to show you that it can redirect anywhere. And in the layout, instead of a single column, I think I want to do a mixed column. And if we hit save, we can actually see the results. So that looks pretty good. Maybe change the submit button. And we'll make that large, and we'll just say submit my form. Let's save. And there we go. So that's our form. Now all we need to do is hit export. And we'll go take a look. And just like in the last video, what this did is it just created the files that we need to add it to PlatformOS. So this is there's a little bit more here than last time. For example, under views, there's an actual page that renders out the form. That's another question I got is how do you actually add the form? And it's actually similar to BC where there is a tag, right? Instead of module form or whatever it's called in BC, it's a render form. So this is actually where we're going to go look and get the form once we do this. All right, so the next step is using FTP. And I didn't show this in the last video, but people were interested. So I'm using Visual Studio Code. And we're just going to get the files from Business Catalyst. So I didn't show this in the last video, but people were asking, they wish they had seen the in-between. So this is fine. So I use Visual Studio Code, and there's an extension for FTP. So I'm just going to right-click and select SFTP download. And that will now download all of the files from Business Catalyst. Now that download is done. So now the next step, all we really need to do is to upload it to PlatformOS, and it's pretty easy. I have the terminal open, which I know is kind of scary for a lot of people, but it's not bad at all. There's very little that you actually have to do in the terminal. So all I need to do is add everything to PlatformOS's Marketplace Kit, D for deploy, and then staging. That's really it. There's not really much more to it than that. So right now that's going to deploy to PlatformOS, and then we can go look at it. So let's open up the page. Now for every form that is exported, it creates a forms page. That's what I showed you earlier. And to get there, all you need to do is do the website and then /forms and then whatever the name of the form is. So in this case, it's contact me. And this is the form we just created. And if I were to try to submit it, this is what we'd get. And so this is one of the improvements that I made since the last video, is the actual validation. Now there's no JavaScript in here at all, like none, 0. And so this is all server side. And by the way, this is all just foundation. There's no custom CSS in here whatsoever. This is all foundation. So the foundation JavaScript is not here. There's no other JavaScript. It's just the foundation CSS. And so all of these were marked as required in Business Catalyst. That's why they're all showing. But of course, if I were to select a couple of these and hit submit form, then these are no longer showing a validation error. Also, you'll notice that they saved too, right? So if I were to do this, hit submit my form, I still have it, but notice that this actually stayed. And if I refresh this, that content stays there. So let's just finish this out. This is my message, submit form, and then we were redirected to Google. So that's even in there. So the biggest question I got is, that's great that you can submit a form, but how do you actually get the content from the admin side? So right now there's a very limited UI in PlatformOS, although that's changing, right? They're working on that, and so are other partners. So I put together a simple admin for cases. So let's just go back, and I'm just going to put, so this admin. So there's another thing I've been working on. It's just a very basic UI for PlatformOS that is obviously inspired by Business Catalyst. At least it's starting out that way. I'm sure it'll change over time. It's still very simple and very basic, doesn't have a lot of content, but it's also very modern, right? So you have ways of saving space. You have, it's, of course, it's responsive and that sort of thing. But what I want to show you is the cases. So here are where the cases come. I put something together where it would list out all the cases, and it has all of the things that you would expect, like pagination, right? So you can go through the different pages and a filter. So you'll notice that Contact Me is now been added to this, right, dynamically. But you can select one and it will filter through just for that. And of course, you can also click in. So here's the one we just submitted, right? The Contact Me is the form. I'm just going to click into that. And here are the results from that. So we have the name, we have the email address, the date, all that, and then all the results. Also, I made it so you could see that user's other submissions. So you can also go through the user submissions right there in the case page. So hopefully this video has answered some of your question and has shown you more of what's coming from both PlatformOS and from the community that's being built around it.